Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl, Sean LeRae, and it's Wednesday, so we are all the way back for Boss Talk LA.
One of a kind.
Well, hello, hello. We are back. It's Wednesday, and you are watching Boss Talk LA. That's Vogue, one of a kind, sensational superstars, and that's each and every one of you. Tonight, we are ending Love Month. So, if you haven't yet, send the link to a friend, single friends, married friends, people thinking about love. Send it to them right now because you don't want to miss this episode. And tell them to comment, like, and of course, subscribe. All right. I am so happy to be here with you all again tonight on a Wednesday night. This is February 28th, and so I would be remiss if I did not pay homage to my ancestor, my grandmother, Queenie Mae Williams, who was born in 1900 on this day, and she left this earth in 1988, about 6 days actually before her 88th birthday. So it was wonderful growing up with Grandma Queenie and all of her sisters. And so we love you, Grandma, and happy heavenly birthday. So now that piece of wonderful business is out, I'm going to give you guys a chance to go ahead right now and send out this link because this is an important show. So I really need you to do that. So you can go right there and tell them to like, comment, subscribe, and definitely share. And when they subscribe, just hit that little button, hit that little bell so that you are notified every time we go live. And that's every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, 7 o'clock Mountain Time, 8 o'clock Central Time, and 9 o'clock on that East Coast. So go ahead in the chat and tell me where you are hollering in from. The ATL is in the house. Hello, Soror and my Sans Lanny Salta. Hey there. William said, check my sound. How am I sounding? Am I good out there, y'all? Somebody thumbs up me and let me know. Hey, Sister Connie, how are you? Good evening to all. Good evening to you, and thank you for tuning in. Hopefully some more of our BWN sisters will be tuning in anytime now. And if you're out there and you're not saying anything, I need you to shout me out. So go ahead and put something in that chat. All right. So as you all know, for the month of February, we have been talking about love, which is one of my favorite topics. So the first week in February, you had the opportunity to meet all the way from the New York, the Big Apple, Amelia Montgomery. And that beautiful lady is a seasoned woman who is still very vibrant and doing great things in New York at her church, Mother of Zion AME Church. And it is the oldest church in New York City. And she was married to Dabney and Montgomery, who was a Tuskegee Airman. And she was able to tell us her love story in the first week of February. And that was a love story that was 44 years and 11 months long. And then the following week, we had somebody who is in the love business, and that was William P. Miller, who is LA's best events and wedding planner. He has done weddings for the likes of my niece, Allie Calloway and Zachary Prince, so Allie Calloway Prince now, and Nisi Nash and Shirley Ralph and Mira Sorvino. So he has been doing high-end weddings and events for quite some time. And so he had a lot to talk about. And then last week, you had the opportunity to meet my new love, William Kirby Seals. Shout out to you, baby. And he was on with me, and we told our love story, how we met and how we were tricked into meeting and how we are now getting married this summer. So that was probably very likely my favorite show thus far. And tonight I am very excited to bring on a couple whom I call my big brother, big sister mentor couple. And they are a force to be reckoned with in the love arena. They run the marriage ministry at their church along with the children's ministry. And they provide a beautiful example of what it means to love long and love hard and love well. So, y'all, without another word from me, please welcome to Boss Talk, Gwendolyn and Larry Goodman. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Well, thank you for being here tonight.
Well, thank you for having us.
Yes.
And at the top, I'll just add a little correction. We were the marriage ministry directors at our church.
Okay.
We served in that capacity under our previous bishop. And thank the Lord, because that is a huge responsibility that, the Lord has allowed us to serve long and well and pass the baton.
I love that. I love that. Well, whoever took over that baton had great leaders and big shoes to follow. I will say that because I know that. So, Mr. Goodman, how are you this evening?
Oh, I'm doing well. Feeling like a Kappa man.
A Kappa man, that's right. And I love the room, the red room. Come on, crimson and cream everywhere. So you go ahead, Gwendolyn, and shout out your Delta sisters.
Well,
and there it is. There it is. I want to shout out TL, Nyla Wallace. Y'all forgive me because I had the heat on, so I had to hurry and turn that off.
Yeah, I feel like it's on over here as well. You sure you didn't turn it on over here?
Well, I think God turned it on today because, hey, y'all, wherever you are, California was 71 degrees today. And I am in my whole element. That's why I live here. I love it so much. So thanks for tuning in, Nyla. Nice to see you. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to also acknowledge and shout out that I just thank y'all for loving me, because here's the real deal. These beauties right here are in a hotel. They have a beautiful home that they live in, for real. Except they're having some amazing, beautiful new home improvements done. And I asked them to be on this show, and in order to make it happen without contractors in the background, they went to a hotel tonight. So I am so honored and so grateful that y'all would do that for me. And I need y'all to acknowledge how much they love me, because they put out some cash money. I know they actually did ask, however, if I did have a what do you call it, Gwen? What kind of budget?
I said, do you have a talent budget?
A talent budget.
Because the talent, no.
The talent had to shell out some dollars. Okay, I love y'all for that. Thank you. Oh, you got a sister over here, Sister Soror.
Hey,
Nyla Wallace is a Delta Soror.
Well.
Wait, Lanny's starting something. She said it was 76 degrees in Atlanta today.
Atlanta, oh my. How beautiful is that?
I love that.
I do too.
Yes, I love that. Well, I'm glad you had that, Soror. I am glad you had that. I had to take this sweater off several times today. Good to see great friends' faces, fuchsia flower shape. Oh, you know what's happening? He did that with his computer, and that was the fuchsia flower that he hit the emoji, but because it's translating, it did that. That's hilarious. Gotta love it. Lenny says, Hotlanta.
Oh, yeah,
Absolutely.
literally, huh?
Absolutely. Well, listen, y'all, let's get into it. So, I want to know, along with the rest of the boss talkers and the world, how did you all meet, first of all?
Well, I'm going to hand the baton over to Mr. G and let him give his side of the story, and then I'll add color.
Yeah, there's always two sides, right?
Let's go back.
Let's go way back in the time.
Well, back in the day. I was young. But anyway, no, we were at a social event with some other professionals, banking, real estate, those types of people. And I knew a lot of these individuals because we did a lot of things together. And then there was this one fine, good-looking, kind of different female walk through the door. It was raining that night.
Okay.
It was raining.
Big house.
And we call it the big house because it was a big house.
Okay.
And I asked my friend, I said, who is that? He said, oh, that's a friend of a friend. I said, oh, I need to meet her. He said, whoa, slow down, Goods. And so when I did introduce myself to her, she sounded a little different also. And I was like, okay, well, do you dance? She said, of course. And so we went to the dance floor. Guess what was playing? The Atomic Dog.
All right.
So if you ever see us out and that song come on, we're going to be on the floor. See?
I love it.
But you know how the Atomic Dog, you put your hands on each other, right?
Uh-oh.
That was a no-no. I had to be checked. I don't do that. I said, no, please don't touch me like that. I said, oh, you put the leg all up and all that, right? Oh, she said, I have to leave.
I love it.
And that's my friend. I said, where is she going? He said, she's going home, good. And I said, oh, let me walk her to her car. It's raining outside. And I asked her if it'd be okay for me to walk her to her car. And she said, sure. And I had my coat, I put it around, and we walked about a half a block to her car, sat down in the car, started talking. We had a lot of things that we could talk about, life. We sat in that car and talked for about 3 hours.
Yeah.
In the rain. I knew that was it.
I love it.
I don't spend that much time talking to nothing during those years. No, didn't do that.
He was getting ready to say no female.
I heard it in there. I did.
And then, I invited her out to have some dinner, and she said, sure. And then she said, let me invite you to my house for dinner. I said, okay, swordfish. So I used swordfish. Okay.
That's right.
All right. I'll stop by, have some swordfish and spend the night. You can take what you didn't eat, you can take with you.
Come on, Gwendolyn. That's right.
Brother, an adult.
I said, are you sure you didn't read this? I'm a noob. Said, well, we're going to have to get back together some other time. It was weeks before she called me. Weeks. I'm not talking about a couple of days. I'm talking about weeks. And when she did call me, it was for a real date. Take me out. Wine and dine me. Do all of that.
Come on now.
And I still couldn't stay overnight. Still couldn't stay. But then, time got, progressed. We got to know each other's family. We're going to church together. Got to know her grandmother. Her grandmother loved me because I was country from the South. She said, he's a gentleman, all of that. My mom and sisters, they just was attracted to her as well. Oh, it was meant to be. We knew at that time, I said, and when I told her I was done, I was through with all of my outside stuff. I was through.
All your outside activities.
Yeah.
Because there was a line of girls.
I'm just guessing.
So now, whenever he's done, I'm going to tell it'll be my turn.
Many are called, but few are chosen.
You're a mess. I love that. I love it.
I chose this. I chose her. She didn't realize that, she was in for life. And then she said, make me an honest woman. I said, I don't know. What do you mean by that? Yeah.
Gotta put a
Yeah,
ring on it.
If you like it, then you better put a ring
Yeah,
on.
put a ring on it. And then, you know, I had to do it the formal way. I had to talk to a father, I had to talk to a mother, and grandma was like, somebody gonna talk to me?
After all, I raised her.
Ooh-wee.
Come
So
on
once
now.
I got around that it was on. It's okay, well, fine. You know, you got my approval. You got my approval. You love my daughter. Take care of her. I don't want to hear nothing about you hurt her. Don't hurt her feelings. Don't hurt her mind. Don't hurt her life. Don't interrupt. Don't distract her. No problem. And that was it.
Yeah.
You know, here we are now, 40-some years later.
I
I
love
love her just as much now as I did
story.
then.
Now I need for making your heart be still my heart.
Yeah.
So I want to tell the ladies out there who are single to take heed to this story. And what I take away right away is always be a lady.
Yes.
One. And let a man be a man.
That's
Amen.
Touchdown. Woo! I like that.
part.
Let's shout out some of the folks. First of all, Lanny is cracking up. Mr. Bill says hello to y'all. William Seal says, Larry and Gwen, always good to see you. And then here's a familiar face and heart. Kim Anthony, you too. Yes, indeed. And I think you'll know this one. Michelle Morbell, good evening, everyone. Good evening, sister. Thank you for tuning in. Lanny says song, Walking in the Rain with the One I Love.
That's
Yes.
For real.
Soror Terry says, you know, it was not that kind of party. That's right. That's right. That's right. Kim is sending hearts. And Mabu says, great story and patience. Yes, patience for love. That's right. That is so right. I love it. I love it. Well, Gwendolyn, let me hear your side of the story.
Actually, it's very, very close. Very close. We were dancing and, you know, a girl needed to make her exit. But what we were able to do that evening was just sit and we were both divorcees.
Okay.
So, you know, we had that in common. We both had children from that marriage. So that was a source of conversation. And pardon me, I was newly or freshly divorced. So it was excellent to be able to talk to someone with such wisdom and about it. And
so the good man brought the wisdom and dropped it on.
Yeah, good man brought a good word to a needing sister, at the time. And I needed to get out of there. First of all, let me just say,
well, I was going to ask,
he was a student athlete. And so, first of all, my friends were talking to me like his friends were talking to him.
Okay.
So they were like, first of all, there was all this body in front of me.
Body.
I mean, he was busting out of his shirt because he's a former football player, has spent, some time, played college ball, and then, spent some time on the Rams bench. So he was this buffed, beautiful specimen.
Okay,
and
come on.
I thought I was going to lose my mind. I was like, I need to get out of here. And then all this body is moving around me. So it's like, a girl got to escape.
I love that.
So I did. I had to get myself out of there. And then I so appreciated that, he came out and then we were able to engage in some great, wholesome, real dialogue right off the bat, sharing some real life with one another. And so I knew that he was a great person to talk to. right off the bat. I already knew that he would listen, and he would provide good counsel. So
I love that. I love
that
that.
was our actually that was our first night, and it continued. Even though I didn't call for a while, you know, a girl couldn't.
Right.
That's kind of like she was thirsty.
There you go. What I'm saying. Okay, I got you.
You just did.
Yeah. I mean, she could have, but I was like, oh no, I can't let this brother think, because the girls were like all over the place. My friends had already clued me in that there were many in the room, that had eyes.
Who were checking for the man. Okay.
Yeah, that were checking for him that night. So I was like, oh, I'm no competition. I'm not, I'm not trying to be in that crowd. So
I love that.
Yeah.
So how long did you all date before? Well, I guess it sounds like right away you knew that you wanted to do something with this. You wanted this to go somewhere.
Yeah, I think we both did, but then there was a break where, we both had things to do. Like I said, we were both divorcees. We were looking at, career things. I, was in a corporate executive position. I was traveling. I had, family responsibilities to take care of. So it was that time in our lives in, the late 20s where you're building career after school. So that's where we were. He was about trying to figure out when he was going to, what he was going to do next in his career and launch into law school. And just, there was all that life and decisioning going on for us. And so we weathered, right away. Let me say, we took the break, kind of paused for a minute and got, did what we needed to do. And then his best friend got married. And so we really came back together at the wedding of his friend. It was, where have you been? Okay,
I love it.
And so we came back together after that first night of all that conversation and knowing that both kind of left each other on each other's mind. Went off and did life. And then we came back together at the wedding. The wedding was beautiful. It was his best friend getting married. And so, then we started to talk again after that.
And how long was that courtship period then?
About 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, about 2 years.
Okay.
And then the engagement ring came. In fact, I should be wearing mine. I'm actually wearing a anniversary ring. You don't get to wear them, so I try to.
This one here got a bunch of rings. She got an anniversary ring of this, that, and the other ring of this, that, and the other ring.
40 years, I got a bunch of anniversary rings, and they don't get worn. So this ruby is on my finger.
I love that.
But
let me shout out my cousin. Hey, fam. Brian Peterson out of the Chi-Town area. Thanks for tuning in. And he's married with some youngins. So I'm glad he's in here tonight getting some nuggets from some veterans at this game. And Connie says, your love sounds like one in a million. Do you believe in love at first sight? Good question, Connie. Thank you for that.
You want me to respond to that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Does it matter? I do. Okay. Before this, I didn't. It was just too many. And you always fall for the wrong reason. I love those legs. I like that hair. I like that big butt. But you're always loving something, but you don't get the whole package.
Right.
We're talking about all of these different types of whole person impairments. I lost out on a lot because I wasn't taking in everything. But then when she walked in, it got my attention. But what really got my attention was when she was leaving out.
I forgot to do a disclaimer. He's a mess.
Don't leave me like this. Don't do that, please. I got to talk to you.
Don't leave me this way.
So then, I guess you want to hear what did I have to say? Are you coming with game? Mm-hmm. You coming with some wisdom and some knowledge? Because that's the type of woman I am.
Yeah.
And I don't want to hear the game.
Showed you that right away.
Mm-hmm. How you feel about stuff? What you doing with your life? What did you do with your life? So I had to get a whole history. College, the military, the professional football, and all of that. Martial arts, religion. Another. I want to go there. Should we do it now? Or go later?
No, go.
Because we were different. I come from a Baptist background. I'm from the South. She was Presbyterian. And so when I go to her grandmother's house and I have to go to this church where folks was doing things different.
Arias and opera.
Yeah. And then when I brought her to my church and they were shouting and doing their thing, she was like, whoa, we don't do that. I'm like, why not?
I love
go
that.
Around, you put your money in the basket, all that. No, they didn't do that.
Wow. So how did you both adjust to one another's?
Spending more time.
You knew, right?
Yes. We started spending time in each other's religious or spiritual space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because we read the Bible. She had hers. I had a huge one. And I used to sit it on the table and we'd go page for looking at it, because it looked good. But then she made me read it.
Oh, come on now.
She said, the scripture. And then she started marking in my big Bible that I show people. Like, hey,
with a yellow highlighter. With a highlighter.
We still have it.
Oh, you must show it to me sometime.
Oh, we will.
I love it. And I agree with William here. He said 2 peas in a pod.
Mm-hmm. And see, the other thing.
I won't tell y'all the funny story behind that right there until later, but go ahead. Go ahead, Larry.
You said you were going to tell a funny story, right?
Oh, no, I said I won't tell you. I'll tell you that later, but go ahead.
Okay. Okay. It's, because of our spiritual background and because of this diverse background family-wise, there was 2 things that I knew going into this relationship. It was very important to the both of us. And there's a big misconception between men and women about these 2 particular things, roles and rules. You look at the Bible is telling us about the rules and they talk about the roles that we should take on. Mm-hmm. But it's our responsibility to distinguish one from the other. We have to be on one accord when we make that distinguishment. That's my role. Well, where does that in the Bible? Go to the Bible and say, well, that's what the Bible said. But then it's not a role, it's a rule. Mm-hmm. So, those types of discussions we have to have early on. We don't get deep into a relationship. And I started talking about, you're not doing the dishes. You're not cooking. What about this bed? You don't get out the bed and just leave the bed like that. Because as a man, I came up in a family where you did those things. You made up the bed. You cleaned up the house. I was not messy. She didn't have that kind of man. And I didn't have that kind of woman that came in and said, something, you hungry? Let me go get something to eat. She'll go prepare something to eat.
Right. Yeah.
Is that a role or is that a rule? Mm-hmm. We have to make this determination. Yes. Yeah. And you have to talk about those things. And the longer we stay together, the clearer those things became.
Absolutely.
The difference between a role and the difference between a rule. And
I love
one accord.
I love that. I love that so much. And that is real because a lot of folks come to see me and they have not talked about any of the important things. Right. They have focused on all the other things. And now they're trying to make something work. And really, they don't know one another. I even asked, are y'all in the same movie? What is this? Y'all in 2 different movies. What is going on here? And here's another one, y'all. Come on. Who is your director?
Yes. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Are you directing your own film or is God directing the show? Come on.
That's right.
That's what I'm talking about. What Terry say? Soror Terry, hello there. She says, that shows you what God has put together. Let no man take us under. That's right. It was meant to be. Absolutely. Because y'all went away and came back together, and God orchestrated that. I love it. Lanny said, whoop, whoop for the shouting.
Okay. Because
I love it.
running around the church, I was like, whoa, whoa,
What is really going on? I love it. I love it. But that's really good. So what I'm also picking up here, and y'all tell me if you're getting this too, that part of this 40 plus years is doing the fundamental work at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes, setting it
no
up
question.
like so.
No question. It was slowing it down. So and both being very strong family values persons. We both had a strong sense of that. I knew from that night's conversation that his son was a priority. And that was key to me.
Right.
It was like, oh, okay, this is a man that makes his children a priority. And it was critical for me at that moment in time in my life. So the dad for our children, he's been that since my youngest when my son, when we met, was 3. He was right there. He's been dad.
I love that.
Even though my ex was active in their lives, the dad in the home doing the heavy lift was this man.
Was Mr. Goodman. I love it.
Yeah.
Cousin Brian says, sounds like both had to decide to lean into each other's lives to truly understand who they were and where their lives were going. Yes.
No question.
100%. No question. Absolutely. Thank you for that, cousin. Oh, Sydney. Hey, sister. How are you, love? She says, it's encouraging to hear a man talk so frankly about loving his wife. Great dialogue. Ooh, come on now. Ain't that right? We love that. Love that. You should see these two together out. It's like there's no question. They actually like one another. I have couples coming in, and after I sit there with my arms folded and my mouth furled, and I'm looking at them, I was like, well, do y'all even like each other? I ask all the time. And I'm supervising a group of clinicians, and I realize that as they're new, they have to work into their own seasoning of challenge and how to challenge and stuff like that. So a girl asked me last night, what did she had a couple come on, and they literally were back and forth bickering in the session. They feel uncomfortable. I said, oh yeah, no, I tell them that this over. We're not doing that. I always say, this is not what I do. I do therapy. I do counseling. I don't do refereeing. And I tell time. And so she said, well, it was I said, leave the room. She said it was virtual. I said, leave the room. I don't care. Walk away from that screen. And then I said, and then time it to see how long it takes them to know that you're gone.
That's right.
Yeah.
That will tell you how engaged they are in this back and forth banter. I don't know if you guys were on last night. I know, Gwen, you caught a little bit of it, but William Kirby and I were on last week, and we talked about how
the whole show.
You caught it all? Okay, good. So we'll start trying to put down our part of this discussion, and then we just start cracking up laughing. I remember the other day I was trying to get something out, and I was trying to say you, and then we just could not finish because we were cracking up laughing so hard. And I think that's a huge piece of it. When you recognize that your mess is on stink,
yeah,
you have to laugh. You have to be willing to laugh at yourself. Do you guys find that?
Yeah, you do. I think you're absolutely right. You have to recognize, and both of us, educated, informed thinkers. His undergraduate degree is in psychology. So I was like spending time with like, dude, don't be analyzing me,
Oh my God. I've heard that
and
one.
Then, I've been I'm 30 years into human behavior and, personality theory. So, there's a lot of analysis going on. And
Yeah.
you should know better.
Absolutely.
And so, we'd be the first to say how important it is that when you get it twisted, and you can get it twisted, even the strongest minds, you need to be willing to sit down with your significant other, with a third party, with a therapist that you trust and you engage to help you straighten it out. To turn you back around. And for us, our values are Christian values.
Right.
So we were seeking, when we decided we wanted to talk to someone, because life has been full. It has not been a crystal stair. We've lost a child at 26 years old. As I said, we came into our relationship as divorcees. So, you've got that trauma. We were both Southern born. So we both had some racist experiences in our childhoods.
Okay.
That was trauma that we, didn't realize was triggering us. So he might want to, share or not. But pardon me. When I was raised by my grandparents in Alabama, and my mom was in Michigan. So, this young girl goes to Michigan, everything is free and you do what you do, life is beautiful.
Right.
And then you come back and the McDonald's at the end of the block where my grandparents lived, they didn't want to serve this little Black girl. It's like, I went to McDonald's in Detroit. What is that
problem? Yes.
So, and harsh words were said that are stingers for me to this day. And the work that I do in diversity and the training is really around carrying still the scars and the trauma from how I experienced it. And so I want those that I have an opportunity to spend time with in personality theory trainings and the diversity workshops to understand how those trauma triggers from childhood can still play in your life.
Right. And show up at the marriage
6 decades later.
Come on, somebody. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'll never forget mine. The first time I heard the N-word and was called that and was referred to as that, I was in shock. I was 6 years old. I'm like, what? Who? What? Me? No, I'm not that. And it still stings. It still sticks with me. So I understand that. And you carry that. You carry every little piece of you into a relationship. The good, the bad, the ugly, the hurt, the pain, all of it. Hello, Sora Rhonda. She says, great, good evening, great dialogue tonight.
Right.
And then Michelle says, it sounds like you two also became best friends. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
That is so.
We started out with, talking, and communication is key.
Ooh, say it again.
It's communication is key. You're being able to practice. God designed the principle that said, "Don't let the sun go down."
Yes,
on your anger.
indeed.
He wasn't playing. He is the designer. And so when you are willing, and of course he made us as free will creatures. So, we're not automatons. We have to choose to follow the word and be practicers of the word. And what we learned to do was call each other to that standard when one or the other of us was not practicing it. When,
I love it.
I might decide that, I'm just not talking to you. I'm just, hey, you're on timeout.
I got nothing to say.
you're on timeout. I was like, no, I'm not talking to you. And his response would be, yeah, you're talking to me.
I bet you that. No, and absolutely. And I try to live by that too. Even today, Billy and I were having some conversation, and I was a little bit heated, and we sat in the car until I could get feeling better, and we both ended up feeling better and laughing, and all of that, because I say this to people and they think I'm being morbid, but heaven forbid, you don't know what's going to happen when you part with someone and you walk to the left and they walk to the right. And if there's something untoward on that right and one of you ends up not making it back to the next day,
Right.
what kind of life will you have if your last words were ugly
Right.
to one another? And so,
Right. And that's something.
Yeah, it's go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's one of the things I really appreciate as a consistent practice, with my husband, is that, I am not a morning person. I'm not an
Not
early
you,
morning girl.
No, because you have
Okay,
half the
I'm
night
not
with
the
me
early girl.
on the phone.
He is, at 4:30, he's up doing his quiet time, stretching, because we've had the other challenge that we've had to meet is he had a work-related injury early in our time together, and he has had three major back surgeries. So he's a walking, living miracle. That
Wow.
He's personal trainer, martial arts master, but that wasn't supposed to be. That was the grace of God, the mercy of God, operating in his life, and his discipline, life of discipline as a sportsman, has helped him. And then practicing his faith, getting up and spending time with God and in His Word, and then just in mindfulness. That's the other thing, as Qigong practicer, and doing deep breathing and those other modalities for stress relief and for health management overall. So he's up at 4:30 in the morning getting his in. Well, mine gets in, but it gets in a little later.
A little later on in the afternoon.
But his practice is, no matter whether I'm sleeping or not, he's gonna, before he leaves for work, because he leaves before I do, before I'm out of bed, if I tell the truth.
For real though.
Right? But he's going, I'm going to get that good morning, I'm gone, and that morning kiss. Now there have been seasons in our life where I've been up with him, early, and we've had prayer, and we meditated, together, and he stretched and so forth. Excellent role model for doing right things around, consumption, what you put in your mouth and how you move your body. I certainly had that in front of me with my husband's passion work, which is martial arts and fitness. And so this, great legal mind may go do stuff in the daytime, but his passion is, martial arts and fitness, and the give back that he's done in the community. So, he has a couple of awards that we've, been able to, get his work in the community acknowledged, his teaching of the youth for over 25 years in our community at no charge in our city, providing that role model and mentorship for young men and youngsters in the community. I can't even tell you how many mothers brought their children because they were single moms and they needed a strong male figure in their lives, and they came and would say, Miss Goodman, I really need to talk to your husband. And I need some help with little Johnny. and how many youngsters he spent time with, leaving his office to go and check on a youngster at their school. And just through the years, having been that person in our community, and then of course, in our own home, shepherding and leading our children, of which
Now, how many children do you all have?
Okay, there are 4.
Oh,
Yeah, we have the 3 boys and the only daughter.
got it. The little sister.
So yeah, they, he walked the floors with carrying babies.
I love it.
So yeah, he's been that disciplined person. So as you were saying, you never know when you leave your mate whether you're going to see them again.
That's right.
So I have always appreciated that practice of, even if, I was feeling a little salty from something, I still know that, we're not going to part
in that way
we're not going to part in that way, that we're going to come back together, and right things will be said, and it will be paused until we can take it up again.
Right.
And I'm one of those that is the insister that we take it up again.
Oh, that part. I know.
Oh, he's like, can you take up some of the conversation? Go ahead.
We need to wind it back a little more. Because number one, I come from the South. I come from a family where there was a lot of men. So there was a lot of things that those uncles and grandfathers and great grandfathers were teaching us. Young men coming up. First of all, how to hunt, how to fish, how to take care of, how to build things, building the house, cutting wood, cementing, doing all of using tools. I mean, we learned that coming up as young men at 9, 10 years old. You know how to cut with a use a saw. You know how to use a hammer. You know the nails. You know all of these things as you mature. And see, this is what's missing in the young men that's coming up in the generations to follow, because they don't have those types of mentors or that type of, I guess, attention to focus on as men. You're seeing young women that's out there changing tires on their cars and taking care of those things. It bugs me to go down. And I've done this also. I'm driving down the street. I see a mother and her son is sitting in the car playing a video game. She's pumping the gas.
See,
no, not one of my students. I want to know why you're sitting in here playing these video games. Your mama pumping the gas. She want to, boy.
Exactly.
Yes.
See, but, and what is, just to speak to that too, a lot of these younger women will not allow men to do something for them, and that comes from that nonsense of that women's lib thing that got taken way too far.
Way too far.
And and I often say that wasn't our fight, Black girl.
No.
That was not your fight. And here's the thing, I love having William Kirby open the door for me. My friend Chantel, Denise and I were sitting in the car waiting to go in and pick up some food, and this car pulled up in front of us, and a cute young man got out, and he tried to open the door for the girl, and she was fighting him back, and we were like, and she looked like Chantel's daughter. And we like, she said, and then she moved like Daphne. And we were laughing at it. So we opened the window and we said, okay, young lady, come over here. We pulled her right then and there on the spot. And he said, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I said, you're taking away his opportunity to treat you well. I said, and then later on, you'll be yelling when he's asking you to do these things because you didn't set it up for him to be able to be the man that he's trying to be for you.
That's right.
She listened. I was like floored.
Yay. Good for her.
Yes, she did. And I know what you mean. It is hard. Sometimes I'll pop up and get out the car and I apologize. I'm sorry, baby. And I take my little hot right back and sit it down and let him open that door.
I absolutely agree. And I absolutely agree. And I appreciate that our sons were likewise socialized, so that I don't have to get out of the car without them coming to open the door, because they saw it practiced, or carrying something heavy and being willing, to come get those grocery bags, or, any of those things. And so much of that has to be modeled. And for, even our younger women need to at least have it spoken into their lives.
Yes.
And then they can make a choice. I mean, certainly you can choose to walk away from those behaviors that you'll appreciate when you're trying to get out of the car with a baby. And, all that stuff that you don't open the door for me, don't, and it's like,
exactly. All that nonsense.
Okay, now you want him to do something.
Exactly.
But you didn't set it up so that can happen. So when you sitting here holding the baby and trying to get out with the diaper bag and the baby, he's out of the car and down the street, because that's how you started out. And grandma said,
then you want to get mad. Exactly.
Yeah, well, now you're mad. Now you big mad. Because he's doing what you taught him to do. You canceled the practice of what would have helped you develop behaviors that you were going to need later on.
Yes.
Or if you become ill, and you need him to come around and take your hand and help you out of the car.
Okay.
These are just courtesies and niceties, that make a difference. And then speaking well to one another is, another important piece is how you talk, and being willing to check each other when it's not, it's like, is there somebody that is there a puppy in the room or something?
Somebody I'm missing
something, because that raised voice was not intended for me.
Right. Absolutely.
We don't play that.
Okay. I want to shout out my cousin, Customized by God for Each Other. Yes. Thank you, Trish. How you doing, girl? Thanks for tuning in. William has weighed in again. He said, Larry the Lionhearted. I love that. And there's Daphne, Dr. Daphne Burleson says, hello, you know her. She says, blessings to all. Thank you for tuning in, sis. So listen, you made mention of something that I want to explore if you're open to that. And you mentioned illness. And I know that you guys have been through some illness. I know that you've been through some grief. And I know that all too well, because thank you. I will say it out loud. I love you all for the way that you walked through that with me when I lost William Joseph. I just always have to share that. You guys were amazing and always are, and walked through that with me. So can we talk a little bit about that piece, the grieving, the illness, and those kinds of things that you've experienced over the 40 plus years?
Yeah. It is definitely, and I guess I'll start with, losing a child and walking through that grief. They say that death, when parents lose a child, that often it is the end of them. They don't survive because of the blaming and the things that, how it happens is just human. How you work through your grief. And I have to say that one of the things, even if I thought I wanted to make a move in another direction, I only have to be reminded of how steadfast Goodman was for me when our child went home to be with the Lord. We saw in our lives, we saw the Lord do miracles in that season. I don't know if I ever shared this story, but I will share it. We needed just one of the minor miracles that happened for us was needing to pay for funeral services, and it was one Friday night, and we needed to get to the bank to get some money out. And his the bank that he was using was across the street, and a bank that I was using, because we, while we have joint funds, we also have separate funds. That's another source of discussion, good discussion. But anyway, so we needed to go to 2 different banks, and in the distraction of it all, the grief, burden of grief, we get to my bank first. And I get out of the car, I get to the bank, we've got a few minutes, it's a Friday night, and I get there and I have no purse. I have nothing. And I'm like, oh, there's no point in going in the bank. And he goes, yeah, baby, we're going in the bank. He's like, come on, we're going in. And I'm thinking, why? I came out of the banking industry. I know that going in here, these people are, all I have is my body, not a piece of ID. But he encouraged and insisted that I go on in. So Holy Spirit was whispering right there for him to have us have this miracle happen. So I walk into the bank and look to my left, a teller that had been out of the bank with cancer. Cynthia was a teller supervisor, had been away from the bank for a significant period of time. Our neighbor was also an employee in that bank. And when I walk in, Cynthia calls my name, and I'm like shocked that the Lord has provided. She is sitting in her chair as teller supervisor. And I said, I don't have my purse. And she goes, I already know. She already knew, because our neighbor who worked for that bank also had already told her about the loss of our son. And while this girl, I said, I need $2,500 out of our account. I don't have it. She said, I got you. So she went, and with nothing, not a piece of ID, I walked out of that bank with the money that I needed, and in enough time for him to get across the street with a few minutes to spare to get the additional money that we needed to take from his bank. So our God is an awesome God. He is still doing miracles in this lifetime. Okay, won't he do it? But just a few weeks after that experience, Cynthia went home to be with the Lord from her cancer. So I know that she was on assignment. Yes. She was on assignment for our experience to be back there, and had not been in that branch for weeks or months, perhaps. But she was there on assignment for us to be able to do what we needed to do, because I had absolutely not a piece of ID.
I love that.
It happened. So we saw many, I can tell more stories about how the Lord was faithful during that loss. But the way my husband came alongside and cared for me as I walked through that season is one for which I will be eternally grateful. Yes. He had a work-related injury with his back that injured his back. And he had 3 major back surgeries. The first one was 11 hours. It was supposed to be something like 6 or 7, but 11 hours. The second one was like 7 or 9, about 9 hours.
A work shift.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a day's work.
Those doctors were getting their time in that day, huh?
They were getting their time in that day. And of course, I, with family members, was sitting and we were praying, and he's a prayer answering God. Because we got all of the, he may not do this. He's got pins and apparatus. I mean, because you walked through a season.
With you by my side. Literally.
Amen. So, yeah. And that, you know, when you have an illness, it was challenging for us. As I say, you know, that was the season where we needed to get before a counselor, because you've got, you know, a man that has taken care of his family, taken care of others, coping with all of the words that are being said around what you're not going to do.
Yeah.
And him rebuking all of that, that yes, I am, because you don't know the God I serve, and you don't know the man I am. And this will not be my story. So, you know, he's on a walker, walking down the street, you know, determined that he's going to carry on, you know, like, and it's making me crazy. It's like, you can't do this. You know, you need to sit down. You're recuperating, and it's going to take time. And so we're on two different wavelengths. I'm over here scared that he's going to do something that is going to make all the things that they're saying be the thing, because he was so determined to get his health back and to be the 100% person. And so that was a source of great conflict, you know, for us, because he's got a mindset of yes, I can, and I will, and you know, and
your mindset is maybe you shouldn't though.
Exactly. You know,
I love it. I love it.
A path that you know, you need to slow this thing down, and he's like, no, I know my body, and I know how I can do things, and you know, as an athlete, you do push yourself in ways that the rest of us don't. And some of the doctors that were giving counsel were not athletes. They didn't have that same that mindset of a warrior, or you know, a person that really, really knows how far they can push their body, what their drive levels are. And of course, I didn't. You know, I mean, I ran a little track, but
yeah.
know,
well, Goodman, how did you manage that space of your knowing without shutting her out or shutting her down and getting what you needed? Oh, and so that's why y'all went to see the counselor.
There you go.
Well, see, something else, Charlotte, right? And you know this better than we do. We grieve differently.
Yeah.
We come from different backgrounds. We've had different life experiences. When I met Gwen and we were just dating, I lost my sister.
Yeah.
My second to the youngest sister.
Yeah.
And Gwen had to be with me.
Yeah. Amen.
I was like, you know something, I need you.
Yeah.
You know, so she was with me the whole time, even though we were new in the relationship. My family loved her like their sister and like a daughter. And it just stayed with us the whole time. But then moving from that on through life in this thing called chaos.
Yeah.
We don't know what we might do under certain circumstances. Because when we lost our child, I felt I had to be the support, the person that you lean on, and I got to keep everybody tight. But I wasn't crying.
Right. No.
So my grieving was different. So I'll leave in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock, and I'll go to the gym, and that's my grieving. You know, I'm sitting there under that weight, 300, 400 pounds, and I'm just crying like a baby. And I'm just as strong as a mule. But, so I got to get back home to be with her, with my son, daughter. Well, at least wasn't born yet. But to be back to them, to be more support. And see, even in our counseling, the therapist will say, like, are you guys having any conflict between each other? I'm like, oh, you don't think, so we have to have that conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe yes, I do feel that way. But something, I'm just not the one that's doing all the cry. I can't cry like that. Because I need to have your tears. I need to be here to wipe that away. I need you to be able to lean on me.
Yeah, the chat is blowing up, Larry. Hold on. So Linda said, keep it real. That was a while back, but amen. And hello, Linda. Thanks for being on here. Connie said, that was true for my husband and I, Gwen. We tried dealing with the pain of losing our son and healing ourselves individually. Eventually, we grew apart. Neither of us could help the other. Wow. Yeah.
It happens.
Says she was a manifest miracle from God for your situation.
Yes, she was.
Yes. And Connie Montgomery, all the way from South Carolina, said, God is the miracle worker. The Lord can do everything but fail. Hallelujah and amen. Absolutely. Absolutely. Cousin Trish said, great talk. Absolutely. Thank you. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Well, she said something else too. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, we got you, girl. And Daphne, Dr. Daphne says, Black love is deeper than the world truly knows. We just don't talk about it enough. This is great insight and sharing. Thanks, Team Goodman. Absolutely. Absolutely. And Mr. Seals says, God has ordained this relationship. The stories are too amazing. Absolutely. Absolutely. I tell you, this like is probably gonna need a part 2. I'm just saying. True love stands the test of time, and it can be solidified in adversity. Ah, yes. Yeah. Well, you all know that when William Joseph was with us, we went through some health challenges, and Gwen was on the phone with me nights and nights. You too, Miss Goodman, were encouraging me through those things. And then when COVID took him home to be with God, you guys were right there, and I know that he smiles down on who you are individually and collectively. And so Sydney says, this couple is an inspiration, and I am so much more hopeful that there's a good man for me. Ooh, yes. Indeed. I love that. And I know that you all have been on the scrutinization team when I started dating Mr. Seals.
Yes.
And you all have been with us as friends and counselors, and we love you for that as well. And we're gonna keep y'all around. But we are so out of time. We are like way over time. We are like hour and 7 minutes. We're supposed to be, I'm trying to get those below 60 minutes. It doesn't work well. It's hard for me. But what I would like to do is just say thank you and ask you if you would be willing to come back for a part 2. Because this is a conversation that I really feel like we're getting into some really good things that are not the things that look so pretty in relationship. And how do you manage through those to get to those 40 plus years? And listen, y'all, I don't know if you read the show notes, but I said that the Goodmans are smiling. I forgot what I said exactly, but I know part of it was and cha-cha-ing. This couple cha-cha make you want to go take some lessons. They do it all smooth and sexy like. So we will have you back. For the part 2. They still talk. What they say? Okay, we got that one. Okay. So I want to ask you that right now, right here. And I want to put Gwendolyn, the HR human and the personality, profile woman, and you can find her at onesolution.live. That's www.onesolution.live. And so go there if you need HR consulting, if you need any of those things. And
we are therapy adjacent.
Yes, right. And if you want to know more about who you are, check her out to get your personality thing on straight. And she doesn't know this yet, but we are going to do an event in I think it's May the 18th. I ain't tell you about it yet. And it's called Take It Up a Notch. And that will be for you who are looking to take your lives up a notch, whether that be in your personal life, your business life. If you're an entrepreneur, taking that next step. If you're thinking about entrepreneurship, but you just don't know what, how, and where, you need to be there. And if you are an executive or business professional in corporate America, you also need to be there to learn how to take it up a notch. So more on that. Here's where you can find me. If you need coaching, livinglovedcoaching.com. If you need therapy, livinglovedhealing.org. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Living Loved Healing. And we also have now therapy in our nonprofit, the William Joseph Brinkley Center for Cultural Affirmation. We're working on some programming that will help affirm us and other people of color, as well as Gwendolyn is on the board. And so we provide therapy under that arm as well. So y'all, save the chat, get some of these links. And Daphne says, beautiful blessings to all. Man. And thank you for being here again tonight, my dear. And I always ask, and this has to be, I'm going to ask you to do something amazing and almost impossible. One word that you want to leave as a nugget for the boss talkers tonight about relationship, marriage, love, either whichever you choose. Gwendolyn, you go first.
Be an encourager.
Encourager. Okay. All right. Mr. Goodman.
Well, I have a lot, but my main one is to be friendly.
Friendly. I love that. Yes. And if you look at that, that is both of those words fit together and how you show up for your partner.
Amen.
Linda Kirk says, I totally agree. Communication is everything. It's the key to a successful relationship.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, y'all stay on here as we say goodnight and jam it out with me, because y'all know I love my theme song. So
Me
here
too.
we go. And I got to shout out Wayne Lindsay and Alana Lindsay for this song. And this has been Boss Talk LA. That's bold, bold, one of a kind. Let me start over. Bold, one of a kind, sensational superstars. And that is all of you. So live loved and shalom, y'all.
One of a kind.
I've been wedding shopping, y'all, with venues. So stay tuned for more news. Thank you all for being here. We love you. We miss you. You missed us tonight. And we'll see you next week. And tell somebody else so you can have a good. Go ahead and subscribe.